Let's be honest, we are swimming in a sea of information. Just an absolute flood of data, all day, every day. And it's making it harder and harder to figure out what's actually true. So, how do we find our footing in all this chaos? Well, that's exactly what we're going to tackle today.
You feel it, right? This constant barrage of opinions, headlines, and facts coming at you from every direction. Some people call it an infodemic, and frankly, it's exhausting. How do you sort through all that noise to find the real signal? How do you separate what's real from what just feels real? It's probably one of the biggest challenges we face right now.
You know, to face a challenge this big, we can't just rely on the old ways of thinking, but we also can't blindly trust every new, shiny idea that comes along. What we really need is a new kind of guide, someone who can stand with one foot in the deep currents of ancient wisdom and the other planted firmly in the evidence-based world of today. A kind of bridge between two powerful ways of knowing.
And that guide, that whole philosophy actually has a name, Ali Academic Today. Now, this isn't just a catchy title, it's an entire approach. The name itself is a fusion of two very different but very powerful identities, and we're about to unpack exactly what that means.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why we need this kind of guide right now. Then, we'll look at the two sides of the coin, the wisdom of the doo-doo and the rigor of the academic. After that, we'll see how these two worlds connect, all in the search for a more unified truth.
All right, let's dive into that problem head-on, the infodemic. We're talking about an information environment that's just polluted with bad info and distracting noise. In a world like this, finding a reliable compass isn't just a nice-to-have, it's absolutely essential for clear thinking. Okay, so let's break down that first part of the name, Dede. In the Alevi tradition, this word means so much more than just grandfather or elder. It carries a massive historical weight. Think of it as an anchor dropped deep into a system of tradition, community, and knowledge. So, where does a Dervase authority even come from? Well, it all goes back to something called the Ojok system. The best way to think of an Ojok is as the bedrock, the foundational institution. It's a lineage, kind of like a family tree of wisdom, that for centuries has been the glue holding Alevi communities together, organizing everything. And what's truly remarkable is just how broad the Dede's role is. I mean, this is not just a priest. A Dede is a spiritual guide, sure, but also a judge who settles arguments, a teacher, and the person responsible for the community's entire ethical compass. And because their lineage is believed to trace all the way back to the prophet, they hold this position of immense responsibility at the very top of the social structure. This whole idea is captured beautifully in this one phrase, Il ele il haka, which means hand in hand to the truth. It paints a picture of an unbroken chain of guidance, where wisdom and spiritual authority are passed down from one generation to the next. It's all about connecting the community directly to a foundational source of truth. This is the wisdom side of our guide.
But in our modern world, wisdom alone can sometimes be hard to verify, right? So now we have to turn to the other side of the coin. The second, absolutely crucial part of the name, academic. This represents a rock-solid commitment to intellectual honesty, to critical thinking, and to the disciplined, careful methods of modern research. And the difference is night and day. On one hand, you have the information we swim in every day. It's often unverified, it's driven by emotion or ideology, and it loves to mix up facts with myths. But on the other hand, you have academic knowledge. It's built on a foundation of sources you can actually check, it's put through the ringer of critical analysis, it strives for precision, and, this is huge, it works really hard to separate what's a historical fact from what's a belief or a myth.
And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. This approach is grounded in real, tangible, credible work. The academic side of this guide is always digging into current research, poring over peer-reviewed journals just like this one, cross-referencing studies, and staying part of that global academic conversation. This is all about earning your trust by being totally transparent. So these are basically our rules of the road. This is our promise to you. We stick to sources we can verify. We draw a clear line between fact and myth. We analyze all the different angles, and we do it critically. And really importantly, we respect the boundaries of science. We don't speculate where there's no evidence. It's all about providing context and nuance, because that's where true understanding lives.
Okay, so we have these two incredibly powerful concepts, the deep, traditional wisdom of the Dede, and the clear, verifiable rigor of the academic. Now for the really exciting part, how on earth do you bring them together? How do they merge into one single perspective?
To get how they fit, it kind of helps to look at two huge streams of human thought. Now, this is a big generalization, but stick with me. Eastern wisdom often focuses on how everything is interconnected, right? The knower and the known are all mixed up. Western philosophy, on the other hand, has historically focused more on the individual and loves to draw a sharp line between the person observing and the thing being observed.
Now, I have to be super clear about something here. When we talk about bridging science and wisdom, we have to be extremely careful. It is way too easy to fall into what the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Murray Gell-Mann called quantum flapdoodle. You know, just grabbing cool ideas from physics and misapplying them to spirituality. We are not going to do that. This whole approach is built on respecting what each field does best.
So, here's our three-step method for doing this responsibly. Step 1, we absolutely acknowledge the mind-blowing insights from science, like quantum physics, which show us just how strange and interconnected reality is on a tiny scale. Step 2, we always remember that this is a scientific model, not a spiritual rulebook. We don't make crazy leaps from the quantum world to our everyday lives. And step 3, we are meticulous about separating what science can actually verify from what is just philosophical speculation. And this brings us right to the heart of it all. This is the core promise of Ali Academic Today. We let science do what it's brilliant at, explaining the mechanics of the universe, the how, and we let wisdom do what it's brilliant at, exploring the meaning, the purpose, and the ethics of our lives within that universe, the why. They aren't fighting each other. They're two essential parts of the exact same quest for understanding.
So what's the end goal here? Where does this journey actually take us? It leads us to a more holistic search for truth, one that actually respects and honors all the different ways we humans have of trying to understand the world.
Our goal, plain and simple, is to bridge these divides. By embracing all these different ways of thinking and seeing the value in each perspective, from the scientific to the traditional, we can start to build a more complete, more harmonious, and just a more human understanding of our world.
This whole journey, this shared purpose we're on, actually has a name in the tradition we've been exploring, Hakikaten Birli, which translates to the unity of truth. It's this beautiful idea that even though the paths and the languages might be different, they're all ultimately pointing toward the same unified reality. And our promise is to offer a trustworthy compass for that journey.
So I'd like to end not with a neat answer, but with a question for you to think about. If it's true that truth is one, but the paths to get there are many, then the real challenge becomes this. How do we walk our own path with integrity, preserving who we are, while still staying open to the incredible vastness of everything there is to know? That's the question we'll leave you with. Thanks for joining me.